Alright, so our last video was almost a year ago, just before you started your cut.
11 months.
What has happened in the last year?
So shortly after that last video, we had little baby Kaya and little baby Riker, who demanded that we spend like 14 days straight in the NICU in a 10 by 10 room. Because Riker was fine. They were both born just great. But Kaya decided she didn't want to eat. She just wanted to do a lot of sleeping. So we spent 14 days in a hospital room making sure that she was taken care of before we headed home. After that, I don't know, that was the big one. So we spent the last 9.5 months trying to figure out life with these two little new humans, and training and businesses and law practice and all kinds of stuff all at once. You know, when we first talked about a competition schedule for this year, we discussed maybe going as early as spring, but when you look at keeping a body lean or stage-ish lean from spring until fall, it's a 5-month stretch potentially. It's a long time. And my goal in doing this at a high level isn't to just look okay a lot of the time. It's to look as good as I can possibly look for short periods of time. And in order to do that, we made the fundamental decision to slow things down, slow the prep down, allow myself spring, summer to just continue to slowly cut and dial in. And I think it's paid dividends. And it's paid dividends not in just the way my physique looks, but in the impact that this cut has had on the people around me, in my ability to kind of, keep giving everyone in my life what they need without being crazy selfish in the way that a cut demands sometimes. And we still have a slew of clients that we are responsible for helping, and I have a law practice that we're responsible for continuing to run at a really high level, and those are things that require a lot of mental energy, and that mental energy of a prep, or the mental energy that a prep requires, sometimes gets diverted, and we made the fundamental decision that we were going to choose our clients over, a couple extra shows, and I'm happy about it. I started my cut in November, and of last year, so it's been almost a full year, and it will be a full year by the time I step on stage. Nice and slow, much slower than I have in the past, but this cut has been so much easier in terms of making sure I can take care of all of my life responsibilities than ever before. It's gone well. There are moments of panic, just like with every cut, because it's happening a bit slower. But giving yourself plenty of time allows those kind of waves of panic to pass, and stay focused on the game plan and stay focused on execution and all the little things that we talk to our athletes about all the time. And we're not immune to the ups and downs of a contest prep just because we're coaches. In fact, I think sometimes it's easier to get caught up in the emotion of it at times, because we are control freaks probably by nature, and when things don't go exactly as planned or exactly as expected, it's easy to let some of those things creep in and create some doubt. But go back to the plan, go back to the things that got you to where you need to be before, and make small adjustments, and you see the forward progress kind of march along in step with that. My fat distribution has changed dramatically. So In my first 5 years in the sport, I gained some weight and then diet down, and inevitably my top half would be ready, weeks before the lower half would come in. And that's pretty typical fat distribution for a female, so that's not surprising. But what has surprised me this time around is how evenly body fat has come off. It's my bottom half was probably going to be a week behind my top, but everything is just nicely coming in together, and something that we all know, I think, over time happens more and more, but when you see it in yourself, it's a nice reminder of that this sport is a pretty cool combination of art and science, and when they kind of come together, it's pretty fun. I gained 40 pounds, just under 40 pounds in my off season last year. My max weight before my cut was 206 pounds. I will probably lose about 40 for this cut, and that's all kind of, as you get closer, you start to estimate that you will actually lose more and more and more, for a variety of reasons, because you don't really ever know how lean you need to be until you get close. But I will probably step on stage in the high 160s, which will put me right about that 40-pound range, 38 to 40 pounds. And I think I'll go back to about the same in that off season. In my next off season, my off season was very comfortable. I'm happy with the size that I was able to put on in the off season. I'm happy with the density that seems to be showing up now that I've kind of peeled back some of those layers of fat.